We had done this sentence earlier, these two sentences, 23 and 24, but we'll start again with them. Is solitude greater her human hours with a background of eternal and unique, with a background of eternal and unique, with a background of eternal and unique. Now, he is describing, of course, the destined meeting place, or the place where destiny is going to be shaped and all that. The surroundings, the forest, the mountain, the entire hermitage scene. That is the whole description which is present here. And of course, as we have been saying also, this is a description which is seen from above, from the transcendental world. The whole scene is kind of seen from above. It's solitude greater. It's of that surrounding, of that forest, of that wood, surrounding. Solitude is greater her human hour. Now, this is psychologically very important. Solitude greatens human hours. We do not normally realize that our capacity as human beings really increase the more and more we get into that kind of a solitude, into inward drawn quietness, into something which is shut off from everything else. All kinds of noises of this world are away from us. Then your human capacities, human potentials, human possibilities really open out in a very great way. So, actually, psychologically speaking, solitude opening human hours is a great truth which you don't realize in our life, and we never give room for solitude when we are busy with all our thousand things of the daily work. You see, with a background and what kind of greatness it brings, what kind of greatness that solitude brings to human hours. It brings the background to the eternal and unique. You see, you are suddenly in that solitude, in that quietness, in the shanti, peace, whatever you want to call it, you are really closer to the eternal and the unique, you see. So, actually, the key for successful life is in this particular sentence itself. Solitude greatening human hours, and that greatness is nothing but the greatness of coming closer to the eternal and unique, you see. That is solitude we have got, you see. We hardly bother about that solitude, you see. We don't keep an hour for that kind of a thing at all, you see, in our life. We are too busy, we're too quarrelsome, too argumentative with all the thousand things of life, you see. And then a force of spare, direct necessity. Direct necessity. Yes, there is something which has to happen now, here, at this moment. And it is that force of spare, direct necessity, reduced the heavy framework of man's days. So that is what the solitude is going to do. Man's framework is reduced. And a force of spare, direct necessity, reduced the heavy framework of man's day, and his overburning mass of outward need, his overburning mass of outward need, his man's outward needs, all those things have become quiet in that solitude, you see. To a first thin strip of simple animal want, what does he want? Very few small things in life, actually. We don't really need too many things, you see. To a first thin strip of simple animal warmth, and a mighty wideness to the primitive earth, and a brooding multitude of patient trees, and a musing sapphire nature of the sky, and a solemn way to the slowly passing month, had left in her deep room for thought and God. So all that thing what has done, it made a room in her for thought and God. She can really think quietly. She can really think truly also in that quietness and of God. See, that is the greatness of the solitude. You see, he is illustrating what that eternal and unique is. that eternal and unique is, thought and God have become there in the solitude of mind and their surrounding you see. Now this sentence is a very beautiful sentence, and already you see the kind of poetry which is there. You are in a different world altogether. A foe, a spare, direct necessity, reduced heavy framework of man's day. The moment you start reading that, all the burden of humanity is gone. See, you don't feel the weight of humanity at all, of mortality, of conflicts and all that kind of thing at all. Reduced heavy framework of man's day, and is overburning mass of outward need. We have first thin strip of simple animal. We want really very small little bit of it only, not too many things like that, you see. One and a mighty wideness of the primitive and a brooding multitude of patient tree, the brooding multitude of patient tree. What poetry you see, and the musing sapphire azure of the sky, and the solemn weight of the slowly passing sun had left in her deep room for thought and God. So that solitude has already brought to her thought and God of mind, you see. Now, poetically, as I said, this is not only different poetry altogether. Earlier passages you see, and the moment you start reading this sentence and onward, you are in a different world of poetry. The sheer overhead poetry, in its purity, in its perfection, is what is emerging in this entire description you see. And you see, the rhythm, the language, there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 sentences, 9 lines here. 9 lines in the sentence, you see. And in a verse, there are 45 feet. Each line carries 5 feet. So there are 45 feet in all the tree. Now the beauty of this sentence is that of these 45 feet is that I have made a little count of this thing. We have here 23 amps, 23 amps, 11 anapaests, 3 spondees, 7 pyrrhics, and 1 trachea. The trachea, you see, I will tell you what that means here. A foe's spare, direct necessity. A foe's spare. A foe's I am. Of spare I am. Direct. It is long short. Long short is a trachea. Long short. Short long is a name. Long short is a trachea. The necessity, pyrrhic. Reduce the heavy framework of man today. Man today. It is a spondy, you see. 23 amps, 7 pyrrhics, 3 spondees. Like man's days, long, you see, man's days, 1 trachea. So the metrical beauty is in this. Essentially, it means that, as I said, 23 amps and 11 anapaests. Anapaest means short, long. Aya means short, long. So in other words, it is basically from short to long. The predominance of the feet is from short to long. I am plus anapaest, 23 plus 11, 34 out of 45. You see, it's a very large numbers of short to long completely. You know, it's moving forward, moving onward like that. Tuck, 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 like that goes on like that, you see, in that manner, you see. A foe's spare direct necessity, reduce the heavy framework of man today, and his overburdening, you see, overburdening, that is 1 foot, that is anapaest, burdening, overburdening mass, that is why this is another anapaest of outward needs. We first, again an anapaest, and a mighty, again an am, and brooding, another anapaest, and the musing, another anapaest, and the solemn, another anapaest. I mean, all the successive lines, they are starting with anapaest, 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 See, that gives a kind of a vibrancy, urgency, speed also, the whole movement is here. A kind of a rush there in that quiet. A force of spare direct necessity, reduced heavy framework of man's day, and burdening mass of outward name to a first thin strip of simple animal world, and a mighty wideness the primitive and the brooding multitude of patient trees, and the musing sapphire leisure of the sky, and the solemn weight of the slowly passing sun had left in her deep room. Deep room is spondy again, long, you see, for thought and God. So that is the beauty of this poetic construction of this line. You see, very powerful, very beautiful. You see. I am simply enamored by this sentence, you see. Well, you'll have to excuse me if I am kind of ecstatic about it. But see the way in which you feel the movement that you are kind of taken along with you see, the whole thing, you see. And the solemn weight is slowly passing, and the solemn weight, the beauty of the poetry is such that you don't feel the weight at all. Savitri, weight is her future, her destiny, her fate. This man is going to die tomorrow. That is the solemn weight she is carrying. But the poetry kind of lightens it. You see, it makes it easy to bear. You see, and the solemn weight is slowly passing. There was a drama's radiant prologue. So that is the nature scene which is described here. And it is here that the drama is going to be enacted. Now, there was a drama radiant, of course. It is going to be the death, but it is going to be a radiant death, a transformative death, a death which will bring out a totally new change, radiant. But then, what is this one? It is a prologue. Actually, the action is going to take place here. There is no question of prologue. The action is going to take place here, you see, completely, you see. This is a place where things are going to happen tomorrow. But the word prologue, lived, already indicates that this is a prologue written elsewhere. It is already written up there, that thing. And that is going to be enacted here in this holy place, in this sanctified place, in this beautiful place, in this tranquil place, you see, in this destined place, you see. There was a drama's radiant prologue lived, a spot for the eternal straight on earth. So that is the beauty of this place. See, it must be a really very holy place where the eternal is going to walk, you see. A spot for the eternal straight on earth, set in the colossal yearning, the world, colossal yearning all surrounded. Hermitages are there, quiet is there, peace is there, shanti is there, tranquility is there, set in the colossal yearning, the world, and watched by the aspiration of the peaks. The peaks are watching the whole scene and guarding it, and they're also aspiring for what? They're aspiring for the eternal state on earth. They're aspiring for the eternal state on earth, you see. And what by the aspiration appeared to an aureate opening in time. There's a golden slit which is cut into time, and it is through that slit you are seeing the whole thing. That prologue you are seeing that thing. Golden, because this is a radiant prologue which is being lived elsewhere. Which is being lived. Therefore, you are seeing it now, that where appeared to an aureate opening in time, where stillness, listening, felt unspoken word, stillness, listening, felt the unspoken word. The word has not been spoken, but the stillness is yet able to hear that thing already. Stillness is that the word has not been spoken, but it is able to hear. The quiet is such that you anticipate what is going to be spoken. You feel what is going to be told to you in this quiet. You see, you develop a perception that yes, this is what is going to happen. That is the unspoken word which you already get in that thing. You kind of get an intuition, the whole thing, you see. Appears an it opening in time, where stillness listening, filled and spoken word, and the hours forgot to pass towards grief and change. Grief and change because there could be the death of a lover, but the hours have forgotten to pass that. It is going to be a radiant prologue. So there is a question of grief and change at all. Here, with a suddenness the divine advents hand, repeating the marvel of the first descent, changing to rapture the dull earthly round. Love came to her, hiding the shadow of death. Love came to her, hiding the shadow of death. Love, Satyavan, came to her. In fact, it is there, that is how they met. The meeting place, distant meeting place, they met together. Savitri was going from place to place, place to place. One day morning, this man comes and they meet suddenly. So it is love who has come to Savitri there. Here, with this sudden the divine advents, repeating the marvel of the first descent, changing to rapture the dull. So that is what a descent will do. What the descent will do? Change rapture, change the dull earthly round to rapture. That is what the descent will do. Love came to her, hiding the shadow death. In other words, the changing to rapture is linked up with the shadow death. He is not going to be any more shadow later on. Now, this is to occult, first descent, in the sense that he is giving a kind of a simile. Savitri is feeling the rapture, the joy, the happiness in the solitude, eternal straight, etc., etc., all those things are there. And the simile is that it is as if this is the event which had happened earlier, the first descent that had taken place. It is that which is going to repeat it here. Now, what is the first descent? The first descent is when the divine plunged into the void. When the divine plunged into the void, that is the first descent. The four powers in the mother story, the four powers have separated from their divine origin, and the mother, divine mother, saw the horror of it, and suddenly the divine himself plunged into that place, you see. That is the first descent. And the mother says that that first descent is the first avatar of the Supreme who had come into this creation. And who is that first avatar? That first avatar himself is none but Satyavan, love. It is because the divine love that the horror of separation could be cleared. It is the divine's love which alone can remove the horror of separation. The void is there, nothing is there, and the conditions are terrible. The last nothingness is there. In that last nothingness, it is the divine who plunged. The divine in the aspect of his love. That aspect of love is represented as Satyavan, you see, in the story of Savitri, you see. Repeating. So, as if now it is that particular event is now being repeated here. That particular event is now being repeated here. Repeating the marvel. You see, that is the marvel, obviously. Marvel of the first descent. Why it is repeated? Because it is that love alone which can redeem the condition of the void, remove the condition of the void. It is that love now is coming to Savitri, hiding the shadow, that is death. In other words, this love is going to redeem this death, you see. So he must be accompanied by death. In other words, in the circumstance of this void, Satyavan is there. Satyavan means the divine truth is there. Satya, truth, divine truth. One who carries the divine truth, that is Satyavan, you see, who carries the divine truth. Satyavan, Bhagavan, who carried the beauty, love, joy, blessedness of the divine, that is Bhagavan. Dhanavan, who carried the treasure of the divine, Dhanavan, Dhana, treasure, richness, plenty, Dhanavan. Balavan, Shakti, strength, Samarthya. So these are all he is carrying. So here is Satyavan who is there. Now Satyavan is in the void, in the pit of the void, and there is death. In other words, as long as death is present there in that void, then there has to be the falsehood. In other words, Satyavan is in the grip of death. It means that Satyavan is kind of enclosed, enveloped by falsehood. And Savitri's task is now to remove that falsehood, to remove that death. That falsehood can go away only when death goes away. As long as death is present, there is going to be falsehood in this creation. So, if falsehood has to go away, if truth has to be here only, if only the truth has to be here, if the falsehood has to go away, then this has to happen. It is that Savitri. So, when the tale of Savitri, we have got this thing, Satyavan in the grip of death. That is what we have got in the tale of Savitri. He is in the grip of death, you see, crushed by death, you see. So, actually, this is the sentence is actually the entire quintessence of the story of Savitri. The whole of story of Savitri is kind of summarized, gathered, condensed in these 4 lines, you see. Here, with the suddenness, the divine adventure, suddenness, the horror was there of separation, and suddenly the divine plunged into the pit, into the void, into the abyss, you see. Suddenly the divine adventure, it is an advent, you see. Reveling the marvel of the first descent, changing to rapture, the dull earthly round, love came to her, hiding the shadow, death. Yes, he has to come along with death because he is in the inconscient void, you see. Well might he find in her his perfect shrine. Well might he of course stands for love. Well might he find in her his perfect shrine. What a beautiful line. Well might he find. See, well might. I will read this line, this phrase, well might. The first foot is strong, the strong shot, long shot. Well might he find in her spirit his perfect shrine. You followed the method. Well might Troche he find in her spirit his again act shrine and So that is the meter of this line. Well might he find in her perfect shrine. What a beautiful line also you see. Well, love will find in Savitri a shrine for himself. She is a temple for him, and he is the God of love who is going to live in the temple. Savitri is the temple, the golden temple, and he is going to live that radiant, beautiful temple, and he is going to live in that life. He is the God of love. In other words, he stands not just for love, but in the context of shrine, he is God of love. He is God of love, you see. And he will find Savitri a perfect shrine. Now, as I was telling you, so it is Satyavan who is going to find Savitri a perfect shrine for himself to go and dwell. But in the book of love, we have exactly the reverse. We have got exactly the reverse. I had almost opened that book exactly at that place. Pardon me? 103.75. Book of Love. Oh, Satyavan is making advances towards Savitri. They are meeting together and he is making advances towards Savitri. Oh, my bright beauty, princess Savitri. What a beautiful description. My bright beauty, princess. He has already possessed her. Beauty is Princess Savitri. my delight, by my delight, and thy own joy compelled. Your joy has compelled you to come here and meet me. By my delight and thy own joy compelled, enter my life. He is inviting her to enter his life. And what is that life? That life is thy chamber and thy shrine. His life is the shrine now here. Satyavan is telling it, look, here is I am, here I am. You are a beauteous princess, goddess of beauty. Come and live in this shrine, you see. So in this we have here in her his perfect shrine, whereas Satyavan is seeing Savitri herself. Sorry, the Satyavan is telling Savitri that it is he who is the shrine for her. In contrast to that, you see. So how the context change, you see. It's very beautiful on the part of the poet to give that. Now this line also, you see, well might he find in a perfect shrine, as I told you, it's a very simple, nice line. Well might Rocky he find I am in a very his perfect shrine, I am. Now here in same way, this line is also very beautiful. It starts with the Rocky, this line also starts with enter, enter, long short, Malai, short long, the chamber and thy shrine. Exactly the same combination of feet, you see. Both the lines are kind of balanced, you see, metrically. I mean, love came to her hiding the shadow. Well, might he find in her as a perfect shrine. See the rhythm again. This is different poetry, as I've been telling you, see. And now we are coming to the high mark of poetry. Since first the earth beings heavenward growth began, since first the earth beings heavenward growth began, earth beings heavenward growth. That happens when man lifted up the burden of his fate and is trying to mold his own fate. It is from that point onward, historically, in terms of the avatarhood, it starts with the Rama avatar. So the importance of Rama avatar is very, very great. You see, we don't understand that. We don't realize the importance of that thing at all, you see. And we have made a political game of it, you see. Since the first beings, heavenward growth began. There were the rishis, there were the aspirant souls. See, by that time, all these Rakshasas, Titans, demons, Pishachas, everything, they were removed, cleared out, and man came out more and more, became more and more spiritual from that point onward, you see. Since first the earth beings, heavenward growth began, the rishis, the Vedic rishis, that is the period it starts from. Through the long ordeal of the day, through the long ordeal of the day. Yes, it has been happening through eons and eons, you see. Never a rarer creature bore his shaft. It is Savitri alone who could bear his shaft. That burning disregarded in our palm, a lightning to the heights on our bay, a lightning. So she is a lightning on our bay. Since first the heaven or the earth beings, heavenward growth began, to all the long ordeal of the rain, never has a creature bore this sham, that burning this saw the Godhead in our arm, a lightning from the heights on our base. So she is coming, it's a lightning from the heaven on our earth, you see, a desirable lightning, which will kindle, which will light up all our darkness here completely. All in her pointed to a nobler kind, all in her, all in her, all in is the talkie, in her, her pointed I am to a nobler kind. See, the rhythm is also again same. All in a pointed to a nobler kind, nobler, obviously, noble in the correct etymological sense, in the correct sense of the word, noble stands for Arya. What is Arya? Arya is noble, elevating, lofty, Arya. So it is that Arya spirit which is present in Savitri. It is that Arya spirit which is present in Savitri. All is appointed and noble kind. Now, these 51 lines. See, we are seeing already, see the poetry already, how it is preparing. It is already very high poetry. I will say all these few sentences which I just read, they come from a very high source of the overhead poetry. There are 4 layers of overhead poetry, as I've been telling you. One is, of course, the higher mind, then the illumined mind, then intuition, and then overmind. These are the sources of poetry: higher mind, illumined mind, intuition, and overmind. So, what we have read just now, they belong, I will say, to the category of intuition. The third from the bottom, you see, illumined mind, higher mind, illumined mind, intuition. And now from this point onward, near towards wideness, we have got pure over mind poetry. Absolutely, this 51 lines, pure over mind poetry. We'll discuss, I think, a little more, but let us quickly read that passage for all is not. Therefore, you see that noble, that Aryanhood, that greatness of the overmind poetry is what that nobility is trying to convey, you see. He's trying to convey all in a pointed to noble kind, all. Now, obviously, this is a description of the divine Savitri. Near to earth's wideness, intimate with heaven, exalted and swift, a young, large hidden spirit, voyaging the world's splendor and of calm, overflew the ways of thought to unborn things, overflew the ways of thought to unborn things. So, about the levels of thought, where she is going, unborn things, things which are not taken birth. Already near towards wideness, yes, this vastness. She is very close here. She is here right now. Intimate with heaven, yet she is intimate with heaven. Both are there. She is a connection. She is the golden bridge between both earth and heaven. Near to earth's wideness, yet intimate with heaven. Exalted and swift. Her young, large in spirit, obviously Savitri is a young girl, young, large in spirit, voyaging towards the splendor and of power. Voyaging, that is a dactyl, voyaging, long, short, and then towards the splendor and spirit of calm. What a beautiful line. Voyaging towards the splendor of the calm. Now, this line reminds one of Wordsworth, voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. Wordsworth's line is, voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. Voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. It is kind of model on that, but there is an enormous difference. Voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. In that, it begins with a trochee, whereas here we have got a dactyl. Voyaging this world, the splendor and of calm. It gives a different effect altogether. The poetry, again, of a quality of the poetry is of a different type altogether. Voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. You can see the difference not only in the quality of the poetic rhythm, but also in terms of substance content. Voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. He is still in the world of thought, in the seas of thought. Whereas here, voyaging through worlds of splendor and of calm. Spiritually, it's a different level altogether, you see. Overflow the waves of thought to unbound. So it is above thought. He is not voyaging through strange seas of thought, above thought now, gone beyond, you see. Overflow the waves of thought to unbound things. ardent, self-poised, unstumbling will. Her mind, a sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow, had not one turbid wave. Passionate in flow, had not one turbid wave. Her mind, a sea of white sincerity. So you can see it is Akshara Sagara, the sea of milk, of purity, sea of white sincerity. Sincerity has to be white, pure, you see. Pure. You see, now, the poetry is very funny also at times. It is a sea which flows. Normally, sea does not flow. But here, you have the beauty of it, you see. Her mind is sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow. A sea is passionate in flow, you see. Had not one turbid way. It cannot have turbid way because it is white sincerity. The password for success, for truthful life, for unfailing achievement, the password for all that thing is sincerity. Sincerity is the password to get tranquility of all that thing. Sincerity, it comes from a psychic quality. The purity of sincerity comes with a psychic quality, you see. And when that psychic sincerity is there, you are safe, absolutely. Then it becomes white, then it becomes without any turbidity, all that thing, the sincerity, because it is coming from the psychic, pure psychic, you see. Her mind, a sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow, had not one turbid wave. Now this is as far as her mind is concerned. Then, as in a mystic and dynamic dance, a priestess of immaculate ecstasy, inspired and ruled from truth's revealing wall, moves in some private cavern of the God, a heart of silence. Now comes heart from mind. A heart of silence in the hands of joy, a heart of silence in the hands of joy. So joy is as a person and is holding this heart in his hands. A heart of silence in the hands of joy, inhabited with a rich creative being, a body like a parable of dawn. So mind, heart, then body. What is body? Like a parable of dawn. It is nothing but the dawn itself, glorious dawn, the radiant dawn, the rosy fingered dawn. Dawn. The Vedic Rishi calls this dawn as Ritambara, who is full of knowledge, full of purity of knowledge, understanding, you see. Ritavari, she is Ritavari, holding the truth. That same Nish or veiled divinity. Again, she is a veiled divinity, Nish, you see. She is a goddess now. Here, she is a goddess again, you see, once more. That same Nish or veiled divinity or golden temple door to things beyond. Golden temple door to things beyond. Now, golden, who is golden? The temple or door? Pardon me? Door. Golden temple door. Pardon me? Temple. See, we can keep on talking about that. A golden temple door to things beyond. Temple door. See, if there is a hyphen between temple and door, golden temple door, then it's a different thing. He has not put the hyphen there.
He doesn't put hyphen.
No. I think the revised edition has a hyphen. Revised edition has a hyphen. You have got a hyphen there?
Where must be the hyphen?
Temple door.
Yeah, but where?
Temple door.
Between temple and door.
Oh.
What do you have in your copy? Golden temple?
In a sense that the door, the temple is it's golden. And it's the door of the temple.
Good.
It's completely like this.
If the temple is golden and
No, but there is a hyphen there. There is a hyphen there. In the French version, there is no hyphen there. I'll have to check my. Okay, I will check that. I will check that thing. In the revised edition, I think they have put a temple door hyphen. Yeah, there is a hyphen here. There is a hyphen here. I suspected that there is a hyphen here.
Between temple and door.
Golden temple door. Hyphen between golden and temple door. It's a temple door. There is no comma.
When you put comma, who is the golden door? The temple.
A golden, no. You see, but you see, when you put a hyphen between temple and door, then it's a different thing. A golden temple door. See, it becomes temple door. Golden. Now here, I mean, if you leave it without that, you'll use a kind of a beautiful flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, it gives you
More space.
exactly more space is there available. Now you have locked that thing, you see, by putting a hyphen, you see. Or golden temple door to things beyond. I will read it without a hyphen, you see. Or golden temple door to things beyond. The rhythm also flows better. With a hyphen, you are kind of constrained already to some extent, you see. Immortal rhythm swayed in her time-bound steps. See, she had taken birth in time, but even while she is moving in the spaces of time, she is moving with the rhythm to the immortal. Immortal rhythm swayed in her time-bound steps. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in earth stuff. Awoke celestial sense even in earth stuff. See, this is this line is overflowing. Her smile awoke celestial sense even in her stuff. It doesn't stop with that. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in her stuff. It's not like that. You followed the difference between the two. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in her stuff. And their intense delight, oh, the supernal beauty on men's life. Well, that is what she does. They will pour on men's lives supernal beauty. Who? Who are these they? There. Her look and her smile. They are pouring supernal beauty on the lives of men. Immortal rhythm swayed her time was there. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense even in her storm, and their intense delight poured supernal beauty on men's lives. A wide self-giving was her creative act. Yes, constantly giving, constantly giving, constantly giving. A magnanimity as of sea or sky. So sea is very magnanimous. Sky is also very it is constantly giving. Sea is giving whole life to you, water completely. Sky is pouring the radiance from the above. A magnanimity of sea or sky, enveloped with his greatness, all that came. Enveloped with its greatness. What is that? Its magnanimity. Magnanimity as a sea or sky, enveloped with his greatness, all that came and gave a sense as of a greater world. When that magnanimity becomes, our world also becomes greater, you see, acquires a higher sense. Her kindly care was a sweet, temperate sun. Her kindly care, the sweet, temperate sun. Her high passion, a blue heaven equipoise. This is a picture of Savitri now as a person. He has described mind, heart, body, and now the characters of that thing. A wide self-giving was a native, a magnanimity was sea sky, enveloped with greatness, all that came, and gave a sense of a great unfold. Her kindly care for the sweet temperate sun. So it's not a hot summer sun like that, burning, blazing. Sweet, temperate, and desirable sun, you see. Her high passion, a blue haven, equipoise. So her passion, love, intensity of joy, etc., is like heaven's poison. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, a soul fly like a hunted bird. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping good tidings from a world of the storm, and a quiet reach like a remembered prayer. In a heaven of safety and splendid soft repose, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness, feel her bright nature's glorious ambience, and pre-enjoy in her warmth and colors rule. Now this is the image of a bird which is being chased by a hunter. A bird which is chased by a hunter. Obviously, that bird is Satyavan and is chased by death. He is chased by death. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird. Now it is Satyavan who can really go and reside in her in all protection. Satyavan says at the moment of his death, Savitri, Savitri, oh Savitri, lay down my soul and kiss me while I die. See, while I die. See, that is the thing he is considering. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird. So although it is a simile, it is actually a direct description of that event of Satyavan's death also. Yeah. Very poetic description, of course. Escaping with tiring from a world of storm and a quiet reach. Now here, this line, there is an inversion. And a quiet reach. Quiet is not an adjective of reach and a quiet reach. It is reach a quiet. Quiet itself is a noun. A bird is reaching a quiet. A bird who is hunted is reaching a quiet, the peace, etc. See, and a quiet reach is not see, that inversion is there, you see here. And reach a quiet. You see what it means is and reach a quiet. The bird is hunted and is trying to find a place where it can be safe, and it is reaching that quiet. How does he translate that? And reach a quiet, like a remember me. See, the rhythm is important. That is why he has made the inversion here. In Savitri, inversions are extremely rare. Means they were coming before the noun, before the subject. Shimon avoids it. But here he has deliberately put that thing to bring out a certain kind of an effect, you see. That is a poetic art. Only a master can do that. And reach a quiet, take a remember. See, if you read like this one, and reach a quiet, take a remember, the poet is gone. The rhythm is gone. The word, the sense is the same thing, but the poet is gone completely, you see. As might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tiring from a world of storm, and a quiet reach like a remembered prayer. In a heaven of safety and splendid soft repose, that is the safety and soft. He is very safe, heaven of safety and splendid soft repose, because he is hunted. One could drink life back in streams of honey fire, burning love, burning joy, honey fire. Yeah.
What does mean the
Huh?
noun? What does mean the noun quiet? Is it
Quiet means the tranquility, peace, the repose. See, you feel happy. Quiet is a noun.
It's a noun.
Here is a noun.
Noun
I am experiencing the quiet. That's a noun. I am experiencing the quiet, tranquility. As mighty soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tiring the storm, and a quiet reed like a remembered. So you have to pause a little and a quiet. You see, you have to make a pause a little and a quiet reach like a remembered prayer. In a heaven of splendid, soft safety, in splendid soft repose, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire. See, honey fire, streams of honey fire, the sea is there. Recover the lost habit of happiness. Once you are there in her, that nest, the bird is safe and now recover. See, Satyavan had lost that thing. He is in the grip of death. The suffering, sorrow is there. Recover the lost habit of happiness. Feel her bright nature's glorious ambience and preen joy in her warmth and colors. Preen, that is a verb here now. Preen means clear. The bird is clearing its own feathers and all that means. That is preen joy. Yeah. And preen joy in her warmth and colors rule.
So what is it after all this explanation? What is it? The remembered breath.
You see, the bird is hunted. The bird is now coming to a nest, feels happy and safe, and it is reposing there. It has recovered all its lost happiness, and it is also now clearing his feathers. Preening means the bird will clear his own, clean his own feathers and all that thing. That is preening, you see. So this bird is of course this bird is of course the bird of love. This bird is the bird of love, you see.
What is the remembered breath?
Remember breath. Well, he remembers that this is my place, I have been here. He recovered the habit of remembering those. He had been always there with her. But due to the circumstances, it had lost its contact. It was hunted by the hunter. And now suddenly, yes, yes, that is the nest. Let me go and sit there. It remembers that. His own origin, where it was there from, you see. As mighty soul fly like a hunted soul is always given the metaphor of a bird. Soul and bird, they go together always, you see. As mighty soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping good tiring the world of storm, and a quiet reach like remembered prayer. In heaven of safety and splendid soft repose, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire, recover the lost habit of happiness. See again, recover the lost habit. Remember, recover. See all those things. Recover the lost habit of happiness. Feel her bright nature's glorious ambience. Glorious ambience, it is a full safety is also there for the bird. And praying joy. Once you are saved, then you start cleaning your own feathers, you see. You see. And bring joy in the warmth and colors rule. A deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary. That is what Savitri is. Savitri is sanctuary, compassion also, deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary. Her inward help unbarred, a gate in heaven. That little help is there and it takes you to heaven. Love in her was wider than the universe. Love in her was wider than the universe. Love in her was wider than you. What a line, you see. The whole world is small compared with her love, you see. In other words, the world cannot hold her love. World cannot hold her love. Love in her was wider than the universe. Now, this is a beautiful thing, you see. Love in her was wider than the universe. That is what Savitri is there. Now, in the book of love, the description is, and Satyavan gathered all Savitri in his embrace. All Savitri in them. So that love is in fact then wider than Savitri herself, you see. He gathered all Savitri in his embrace, you see. All Savitri. What a beautiful description again, you see. Beauty. A deep of compassion. That is Daya, compassion is there only. A hushed sanctuary. So it is a holy place, very quiet, nice, tranquil. Her inward health, unbarred a gate, it will open the gate to heaven. Love in her was wider than universe. The whole world could take refuge in a single heart. Yet there will be more space for many other worlds to come and live in that, you see. The great unsatisfied Godhead here, the great unsatisfied Godhead, the great Godhead that is Satyavan, that is love, God of love. Great, unsatisfied because he was not able to find a nest, a place, a shrine where he could live happily. But now here is one, the great unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell. So that is the perfect shrine for his dwelling. He is vacant to the vassal, imprisoned air. Her mood could harbor his sublime breath. Spiritual that, that can make all things divine. Spiritual that can make all things divine. Now, spiritual that can make all things divine. It does not always happen that the spiritual things will become divine. That does not always happen. It happens when she is there. You may be spiritually great, etc., etc., all that. That does not still become divine. That happens when she is there. The great unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell, vacant to the vassals imprisoned air. Her mood could harbor his sublime prayer. Spiritual that can make all things divine. For even her girl to secrecies of light. See what appears to be girl follows. Even there, the hidden light is there, the presence of light is there. But even her girl to secrecies of light. At once she was a stillness and a word. At once she was a stillness and a word. The whole of spiritual metaphysics is packed in one line. At once she was a stillness and a word. Stillness, passive Brahman, word, active Brahman. Both of them are present simultaneously in her. The power of expression, that is the active Brahman, the word. Stillness, the quiet that holds the divine possibilities, the passive and the active, the dynamic and the passive Brahman, both of them. She is holding both of them simultaneously in her field. She is at once, and not that now this and now then, not like simultaneously. Both of them are present in us simultaneously. At once, she was a stillness. And what a powerful line this is, metaphysically also. A continent, a self-diffusing peace. A continent, a self-diffusing. The peace itself is flowing from that continent. You see. An ocean of a trembling virgin fire. An ocean of a trembling virgin fire, purity of fire, the strength, the silence, the gods were her. See, this is a sheer poetry, you see, you can't. At once she was stillness and a warm, a continent just a diffusing peace, an ocean of a trembling virgin fire, the strength, the silence, the gods were her. Both silence and strength of gods were hers. You see. She is in possession of both of them. In her, he found a vastness like his own. In her, he, of course, stands for love, God of love, for whom Savitri is the perfect shrine. In her, he found a vastness like his own. So both of them are there, vast. Love in her was wider than the universe, and yet he could embrace all Savitri in his class. You see. In her found a vastness like his own, his high, warm, subtle ether. He refound, see, he had lost it. He had gone into the void, and his ether of joy, of happiness, of wideness, of beauty, that he had lost. he has refound now in Savitri. See, in her he found a vastness like his own, his high, warm, subtle ether he refound and moved in her as in his natural home. Obviously, natural. She is a home for him, she is a shrine for him, he is residing there naturally. In her, he met his own eternity. He had lost that eternity, he has refound it, and it is in her that he will. So this is the direction of Savitri, you see. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, one has to just read it on and on. You see, this whole these 51 lines, one has to just keep on reading again and again, and then you see the beauty of the whole poetry also. It's a different type of poetry, pure, sustained, over-mind poetry. 51 lines. Now, well, we'll continue this thing a little more next time, but let us. Yeah. Okay. We will quickly read this passage. Pure over mind poetry, this one. Now, this is a little historical background of this passage. Amal Kiran was writing great poetry in the 1930s. And Shemindu, he knew that Shemindu was engaged in writing Savitri. And he wanted to have some kind of a sample of what kind of that poetry would be, Amal Kiran. And he requested Shemindu on one occasion, can you please give me a sample? In fact, in one of his letters, Shivandu had sent 2 lines from his Savitri at that time. And then this man got interested in it. He took the occasion, screwed up, so to say, Shivandu, and said, where are these lines from? And then, of course, Shivandu said Savitri. Then he said, can I please have a longer passage of this line? Of this line, you see. And then for the first time, nobody knew until then anything about Savitri. Nobody. Because of this request from Amal Kiran, on 25th October 1936, for the first time, Shemindu had given a passage of 31 lines at that time, sent Amal Kiran at that time. So, Savitri walked out of Shemindu's room for the first time on 25th October 1936. He has sent that passage to Amal Kiran on a piece of paper. So, she's walking out now from the room, see. And of course, it will go through Nalinikant Gupta. He was the person, messenger between them. Of course, he would not see anything at all, but he knew that something was happening between Amal Kiran. Huh? No, nobody knows. Nobody knows at that time. Nobody. Then should be celebrated as an important date when Savitri for the first time walked out of Sri Aurobindo room, proclaiming, I go out now to give illustrious boons to wide world. This was in fulfillment of the request that the following 31 lines were sent out, lines belonging to an earlier Dr. Savitri. Means these 51 lines, what we had read just now, at that time in 36, there were only 31 lines. And it is these 31 lines which were sent by Shemindu to Amal Kiran. So we'll read those 31 lines. You can read now here, you can see here. Near to us, wideness, intimate with heaven. This is the same passage now. Exalted and sweet, a young, large in spirit, voyaging towards the splendor of calm, overflew the waves of thought and bound thing. Ardent was her poise and stumbling will, her mind a sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow, had not one turbid way. Some lines are missing here, you see. As an mystic and dynamic dance, a priestess of immaculate ecstasy, inspired and ruled from truth's revealing fall, moves in some prophet cavern of the God, a heart of silence and hands of joy, inhabited with its creative being, a body like a parable of dawn, just seemed and for veiled divinity, or golden temple door to things beyond. Immortal rhythm swayed in her time-bound stem. Her look, her smile awoke celestial sense, even awoke celestial sense in this earth stuff. What we have here is in this earth stuff. In the latest version, it is even in earth stuff. See, that little changes the poetry, you see. In this earth stuff, and their intense delight poured supernal beauty on men's lives. The great unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell, vacant to dazzle imprisoned air. Her mood could harbor his sublime embrace, spiritual that can make all things new. You see now, many of these things are missing here. Suddenly you are jumping now to this one, let's say, or almost towards the end. In other words, those 20 lines you have added afterwards. The great unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell, vacant to dazzle imprisoned air. Her mood could harbor his sublime. That word simile, etc., they are all later additions, you see. For even her gulf of secrecies of light, at once she was the stillness and the world, a continent of diffusing peace, an ocean of trembling virgin fire. A continent of diffusing peace. At once she was the stillness and the world, a continent of diffusing peace, an ocean of untrembling virgin fire. In her he met a vastness like his own, his warm, high, subtle ether he refound, and moved in her as in his natural home. Now, that was the 31 line passage in 1936. Shemin added those few descriptions now which we have seen just now. And the poetry has changed totally again with those additions. You see. Now, about this draft, Shemindu wrote to Amal Kiran in 1936. This passage is, I believe, what I might call the overmind intuition. Now, this overmind intuition, he is saying overmind intuition in 1936. But later on, he revised his own classification, and then he says that this is pure poetry coming from the overmind proper. He is making it a little lower, overmind intuition. But here, this is pure overmind intuition itself. Overmind poetry itself completely, you see. At work, expressing itself in something like its own rhythm and language. It is difficult to say about one's own poetry, obviously, but I think I have succeeded here, and in some passages later on, in catching that very difficult note of the overmind in separate lines or briefer passages. A few lines at a time, I think it comes not unoften in Savitri, you see. The final text consists of 12 sentences, 51 lines. This is all pure overmind poetry on a sustained level of inspiration throughout. Now, this is very, very rare. There are lines here and there by Wordsworth, by others also. One single line coming from the overmind. As I told you, voyaging to strange seas of thought alone. Wordsworth line. Shemin calls it coming from overmind. You see, directly. You see. The Vedic poetry, the whole of Vedic poetry is a sustained poetry coming from overmind. So in English, this is one of the rarest kind of a passage having that sort of thing. Now it is not that throughout Savitri we have this inspiration. There are influences of other type, there are levels of poetry altogether, but the purest example is this one. There are a few more passages in Savitri which come, but this is absolutely the finest kind of a passage, 51 line, na plus ultra, nothing beyond it. As far as poetry is concerned, nothing beyond it, na plus, nothing beyond it, you see. Na plus ultra, that is a phrase which is used in Greek mythology. They thought that the earth is a flat place. And then if you go on the ocean, you reach the pillars of Hercules. Pillars of Hercules. Beyond pillars of Hercules, there is nothing. Beyond pillars of Hercules, there is na plus ultra. Beyond that, nothing. You see, emptiness. You plunge into vacuum or whatever it is. Well, this is what happens in our case also. Although we are on a spherical surface, beyond the surface is all vacuum again. Na plus ultra. You see, beyond that. So this is the sheerest kind of poetry. Beyond that, in other words, when you say na plus ultra, the best that has come into expression, the human expression, the mantric poetry, is the overmind poetry. The poetry which is there beyond, that has not yet appeared in our expression. When the supramental world will be active, dynamically working and all that kind of, then it will be a different type of a poetry altogether. The rhythm which will sway the movement to the truth itself, you see, at the time. So the word and the action will be simultaneous with that of truth action itself, you see.